All right. Hey guys, Keaton here. So let's talk about behind the net zones. I want to talk about the windows and how we like to dissect it here. Okay. I've seen a lot of goalie coaches dissecting the back part of the net in different ways. I'm not saying my way or our way is the only way, but I would just recommend to approach it in this situation because I feel like it's a little easier to digest. But what I would say is window one is around that 30-degree line all the way from the goal line to the wall. Okay. Now, I would say window one more or less is extended all the way to the corner, but let's just talk about when this guy is moving from window one to what we would deem as window two and how we're moving off that post or preparing yourself on the post. So window two is just around this space. All right. Again, that's, let's say, the borrow zone between window one and window two. Okay, and window three is more or less just the back middle part of the net. You can just say where that bar is with most of the net. Usually the middle bar is when we want to be able to make our decisions on how we're transferring from post to post or how we maybe change sight lines over either shoulder. Now, again, there's multiple ways to maintain your eye contact on the puck, so I'll try to talk to most of them, but in no way is this a fully exhaustive kind of way of approaching it. So let's talk about when we should move off this post when it comes to the guy transitioning from window one to window two. Usually we like to say when there's about a blade length of that distance, we want to have a little bit of a head start, because if this guy starts to move behind our shoulder line before we peel ourselves off the post, it's going to be tough to maintain visual eye contact on that puck. So first off, let's talk about how we want to situate the body. So we want to make sure that when we're on the post, especially when this guy is relatively close, let's say about 2 stick lengths from our net, we want to make sure that we're on a little bit more of an inside leg angle. The glutes are pushed back and maybe a little bit more set up to that outside leg rather than the inside leg. Because if our hips are here, you can see that I have limited sight lines over my right shoulder in window two. So I want to be here. And then while that guy is moving into that space, I'll get a little bit of a head start. Now, maybe this is all we need, okay? And how we would approach this is a little bit different based off of the age group and based off of the size of the goalie. So in my situation, okay, if that guy is moving relatively slow and maybe stops up just when entering window two, I can just kind of lean off the post, maintain that left leg as an anchor into the ice. But again, my hips will be set up a little bit more to the left side, giving me more vision, but also giving me the ability to seal relatively easily, okay? Now, when this guy, let's say, moves from window one to window two, we would like to make sure that we're able to maintain our sight lines over top of this trailer shoulder, okay? I would not recommend doing this. Now, that is okay if, let's say, there's a pass to a guy behind the net who is stationary, and in that situation, you don't want to transition because it looks like, let's say, his body, if I'm behind the net right now, his body is more set up to where he's receiving that pass. So there's a higher chance that he's going to receive that pass it back, or work back to my right side, okay? So if that's the situation, we see that pass, we can always seal and rotate our head over this left shoulder. Again, I'm in my post lean because the guy is relatively close to the net, and now I can see him. If he transitions back to that right side, I just rotate. If he keeps going to my left, obviously a quick bump to the post. But let's just say the guy's skating behind the net right now. We're going to push our hips to that left side, shuffle off the post, maintain that sight line. And when that guy leaves that window three space, we can see he's committing. That's when we want to seal to this post and try to get this knee up a little bit, because a lot of goalies end up getting flat. We talked about this a little bit in the post lean video I did prior to this, but our glutes end up sinking if this trailer leg is a little too straight and flat to the goal line, and I obviously end up losing my balance, losing my structure, losing the protection, okay? So try to make sure this knee goes into the chest line, and we can talk to a harder and softer post lean. I have one of my clients, Landon, coming in, so he'll help us out with that. But when we hit the post and this guy does not have the ability to pass in front, or walk in front right away, we can be a little bit more off the post, because it will help with our transitions transitions off the post, but we can talk to that later. So, and it's the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, I want to be here. Okay, I'm going to push my hips back, shuffle to that right, maintain sight lines over my lead trailer shoulder. I can always get that arm to go back if it helps with my visibility, and then making sure that the stick is more or less here so my shoulders can rotate. Some kids feel like they get stuck, and it's just because this back trailer arm, the blocker in this situation, lead arm in this situation, is a little too far to the side. Obviously, we want to maintain our structure when the puck is above the goal line, but we will manipulate it. Wow, that was tough to say, when the guy is behind the net, okay? And then the same situation here. He leaves window 3, which is the middle part of the net. All right, we will seal, wrap around, maybe get our stick a little bit more active depending on what he tries to do. So that's kind of basic behind the net windows 101. I would not recommend being here and switching back and forth because obviously players are pretty creative and pretty smart. They see we switch from one side to another. They move against the grain. All right, we are exposed. So I would never recommend or listen to many goalie coaches that are recommending that you get to this space and shifting over either shoulder with your sight lines. What I would recommend is being tethered to a post and looking over one shoulder. So we can do it obviously to both sides, and that's fine. So I can understand that if this guy is going behind the net and let's say he stops up, all right, I can be here, or if that guy is receiving a pass behind the net, totally understandable. But again, we don't want to be kind of in between two different spaces and be shifting our sight lines over our shoulders. We will get caught, we will get exposed. And again, I'd rather you be tethered to a post, all right, not see him over here because he's committed to the right, but I'm already on my right post. So if he does kind of catch me off guard, at least I am protecting a large portion of that lead side of the net.